So she writes the music
Mm-hmm.
and then puts it into a music app,
Yeah.
Stuno,
Mm-hmm.
and then generates the songs.
So she's a songwriter, but she's not a singer. And historically, what you would have is just people who write songs and singers sing the songs. Or you may have like a Kirk Franklin, which he tried to sing the songs, but he
Okay, no,
shouldn't.
that's different.
But he write the songs, and then he have the family and God's property and all these people sing the songs.
Yeah.
But now, in this age, you can be the songwriter. You
I
can
don't
create
know.
your own artist to sing your song.
It does feel.
That's amazing.
It does feel. I don't know. Something feels wrong about it. Okay, the number one artist for Christian music on iTunes, the number one Christian album right now, is Not Human.
Okay.
Is that a problem? Like, do we have a problem? I
Man.
don't know. We got to talk about it. Forrest Frank is chiming in on this. And not only is this happening on the Christian side, but it's also happening on the secular music side.
Mhm.
So I feel like artificial intelligence is like, everyone, get in line. I want all of that. This is Culture Proof.
Every single stronghold, we pull them down. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out Culture Proof. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And today we are talking about I feel like we're always talking about the rise of artificial intelligence. But this particular story, I think hits close to home because we've got a very successful Christian recording artist who is topping the charts,
Mhm.
at least on iTunes. And the person is not really a person. The person is an AI generated artist.
Mm.
Same thing is happening over in the secular world. We can talk a little bit about that, but I think the bigger question is, should people be concerned that AI is blazing new trails in every area? Like that there's not an area that is, I guess, off limits for this technology. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Very interesting. Very interesting. It almost sounds funny to call that AI generated, robot or whatever it's called, an artist. Like it just seems funny. And I think we have to be careful with technology because there's two sides to it. Of course there can be extreme evil that's done with it. If that's allowed, or it could be used for good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would anybody out there want and what would anybody want a AI generated pastor?
No, but I think that's impossible. I think it's impossible
Well,
to have an AI generated
okay,
pastor.
so an AI generated preacher or teacher.
Because there is a distinction, right? So, do you mean an artificial design that has been fed several prompts that is going to then teach you? I would say no. I would personally say no, but I do see that as different from having a pastor that is AI
Okay,
generated.
so is it different from having an AI generated worship leader?
I don't think AI can lead worship.
Okay, an AI generated Christian artist. Is that
What is a Christian artist?
one who sings Christian music?
Really?
No, I'm just saying for this discussion, yes, that song would be classified as in the genre of Christian
Yes.
music, right?
Yes.
So that would be a Christian artist, like
Okay, but I think to be a Christian artist,
Mhm.
it means that the Christian is producing the art. The Christian is producing the art.
But what if the Christian that's producing the art is not the AI generated artist, but the person behind that?
And that is where I think the conversation needs to come to land. I think that's where we probably need to focus most, because Forrest Frank recently was talking about this. And
Mhm.
when I first saw the video that you sent me, I thought, well, that is kind of concerning. Then we started to kind of dig into it a little bit. You learn who the artist is behind the music that's being generated.
Yeah.
And this person is a Christian. So it's not just some person putting in random prompts. This person happens to be a Christian who is utilizing technology.
So
So then
is that okay? Like, and man, so I think that's a great conversation. I guess that's where it
I'm
is
glad we're
right
going to have
now,
it.
you know, because how would it be any different from a Christian using technology to do some other things? Like, I mean, I I don't know. Like, I think so. Far as Frank's thing is that, well, this AI doesn't have the spirit of God living inside of it, you
Mhm.
know. Um, but the person who is prompting the AI, what if he or she has the spirit living inside of him? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's the question. I think that's the
Mm,
question. If 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 it's not true that the person producing the music is a believer, then I think that should be very concerning, especially for a person like Forrest Frank, who, and by the way, I would consider myself to be in the category of like a Forrest Frank, and I think you would be in this category too,
mhm.
being very principled
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, very particular about what we listen to and who we say
Mhm,
is like a Christian artist. A lot of people will wear that label, but then, there's no fruit in keeping with repentance, but they just find this is an easier space for them to get into.
mhm,
So I would be 100% with Forrest Frank.
mhm.
And let me back up here. Let me pause for a second because we need to thank our sponsor, the premier sponsors of the Culture Proof podcast.
We
And
can
then,
AI generate that.
no, we can't. I mean, we could, but there's something about that that just doesn't feel right.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
the
Like
BJU press homeschool, they know us. They know it,
I don't
we
know.
put a AI.
I know that we've come a long way in technology, right? And I know that, but I feel like it would be just our fortune that we would be like BJU press, like, and it'd be like, oh, what happened
It'd be like
to your
it'd
avatar?
be like
It just
Max Headroom of
that's what comes to
AI.
my mind. Like that's the 80s though. Like we're not there anymore. We're not there anymore. I do want to say
Oh.
though, before we get too deep into what we're going to talk about, and we've got some clips that we want to show. Don't worry. Well, no, some of them do some of them do contain. I was going to say none of them contain AI. Some of them actually do contain AI. First, I do want to say a huge thank you to the premier sponsors of the Culture Proof podcast. They make it possible for us to educate and disciple our kids at home. And one of the things that we were saying recently is we appreciate that BJU Press Homeschool takes into consideration the various learning needs that children have. Not
Mhm,
only do we want them to be well versed and have a biblical defense as they live in the world, and there's so much in the culture that's being thrown at them, but we want them to learn in the way that they're made, the way that they are designed. And having 6 kids has afforded us the opportunity to see that kids just learn differently, and you
mm,
can't have these cookie cutter methods. And what we appreciate about BJU Press Homeschool is that there's something for every learning style. I
mhm.
mean, there is something for every learning style. So we want to encourage you to check them out today. That's bjupresshomeschool.com/culture-proof.
Mhm.
bjupresshomeschool.com/culture-proof. When you follow that link, it'll be your way of letting them know that the Addisons sent you.
Yes.
Okay. Back to our podcast. So I want to share this. I want to read a little bit of this article, right? This is from the Grio,
Mhm.
and this was out a couple of days ago. And the headline of the article is Fair or Foul. Creator of AI gospel artist Solomon Ray hits back at critics as songs go #1. Okay. Solomon Ray,
Mhm.
the AI artist, is the first AI artist to have the #1 album and song on any iTunes chart. So AI is already making history in the music arena. Um, but I feel like AI is already making history, like just period, so I feel like this is almost a little bit like insulting. It's like just like kind of adding more.
Mhm.
But let me read a little bit of this article and then we'll kind of look at both sides of this because Forrest Frank is concerned about this. And I think that his concern is valid. But I do think when he made his comments, he may not have known who the AI generated artist was the result of?
I don't know. That's a good question. And I do have another consideration to bring out to,
Okay.
as we continue to go through this conversation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. The Griot here.
Mhm.
What happens when music fans discover their new go-to praise and worship songs are made by an AI artist? That's the feeling that some gospel fans are having as Solomon Ray, an AI generated act based in Mississippi, currently holds the top 2 slots in the iTunes Christian music chart, or on the iTunes Christian music chart, and the number 1 Christian album on the platform. All right. Ray is the first AI artist to have the number 1 spot, or the number 1 album and song on any iTunes chart. On Billboard, he has the number 1 and number 5 songs on the gospel digital sales chart,
Wow.
leading many to wonder if the future of AI music is already here. So in response to that, you have Forrest Frank, and this article is from the Christian Post. Popular Christian artist Forrest Frank is warning his followers that the top performing Christian artist on the iTunes charts was created by artificial intelligence, expressing concern about the implications of this development. And I think what we could do is let Forrest Frank kind of speak for himself. We have a clip of what he posted and kind of like sharing his concern. And again, I want to say, on the principle of what he's saying, I don't disagree with him, but I do think some of the questions that you're pressing are questions that we need to consider as we think about Forrest Frank's concerns and warnings. Okay,
Sure.
So here's Forrest Frank in his own words.
An album right now for Christian music on iTunes, and the number 2 top singles over Elevation, Brandon Lake, whoever, is AI. And I hate to even bring attention to this, but I want to just let you guys know this is out there. And I think it's important that we just pause a little bit and kind of ask the questions of like, is this something that we want? At minimum, AI does not have the Holy Spirit inside of it. So I think that's really weird to be opening up your spirit to something that has no spirit. So what are we doing about this? Are we rejecting this? Are we championing this? I personally will not be listening to this. I already don't listen to secular music, and I'm sure not going to be listening to AI Christian music.
Okay, your thoughts on that? Your immediate reaction?
So I understand what he's saying, but the question still remains: if the producer, the one who has created this AI artist, is a Christian, does it make it any different that he or she is using this technology to make this art? So, but there's another part of it to me, that for like a Forrest Frank, who is a creative, he's a music person. Is there a threat that people who work hard at their music will now be surpassed by these AI generated artists who can be, created to be really good? Like, is there, or will AI artists have to have a category, best AI artist? Because what happens is it's the same thing with the workforce. We see that Amazon is cutting back on so many different employees, and because they're making a big push right now at AI, doing a lot of stuff. So what happened to the people who do certain jobs? So with the artists, what happens to music artists who maybe spent their lives honing their craft and working hard, but someone comes along that may not be musical at all, in the sense of able to sing or things like that, but maybe able to write, just like this lady. I think we're going to see a clip of her, and is able to excel at this. So what happens to the art form as far as the human side of it? I think that's something to be considered. And if I was Forrest Frank, I would kind of feel that as well. Like, ooh, man, but I'm this is not a real thing that's making, but there are people behind it. So I don't know. What do you do with it?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying, in that there was a category of what we would call durable trades, the things that were not going to go away. You didn't have to worry about them being threatened by technology. And I certainly would have thought that the arts would be in that category, because there's something about the arts that's just so human. Like, there's something about the arts that just so reflects I don't know, this being made in the image of God. And when I say that, it's not to diminish anything else. I'm not saying that science doesn't show that. Of course, science shows forth the glory of God.
Right.
Here's what I'm thinking. When you think about making something what feels like out of nothing, when you think about like where music notes are before they appear, how a person hears something that didn't exist before, but they heard this and then they turned it into some melody. They turned it in. There's something about that is just so human. It almost seems difficult to replicate it. Obviously, we know it's not impossible, but it feels very difficult to replicate it.
Yeah.
So I could see how Forrest Frank would feel like, hold up, let's slow down here. Especially because in the category that Forrest Frank is in, and I don't want to be like, our kids would say glazing here, but I do feel like Forrest Frank has set himself apart as an artist that like Jesus really changed my life. And it seems that he's constantly fighting for that distinction in culture. Like, man, I really love Jesus. I really love Jesus. And
But the
I
thing is,
so
that could be true for a person who generates an AI artist
yes, okay, that's
too.
not I'm not saying
Okay.
that the AI generated artist or the person who generates the
Right.
artist
Right.
is not in that category. What the
Mhm.
reason I brought that up about Forrest Frank is because what I'm trying to say is that I think he has a very strong line in culture about like what he's doing
Mhm.
as worship to the Lord.
Mhm.
And it could feel like having an artificial intelligence artist
Mhm.
move into that space because it's easy to do.
Mm.
It could feel like, a swipe at this
Mm.
posture of this is my art
Right.
submitted to the Lord.
Right.
I am an instrument to be used of the Lord in
Right.
this space. Music is very powerful.
Yeah. So what a Forrest Frank and any other artist would probably have to do is have that thought towards the person who created the AI artist. You see what I'm saying? Like they would have to say, and this person, also, has been captured by God, and they're using their gift, which is creating, this AI artist or whatever, to like share the gospel or the good news through music, even though they're not singing it and they're not, I think because how would you get away? Like for me, if I was a person that was able to produce something I love the Lord. So I would I would feel like it's coming from a place of, you know, fidelity to God, even though I'm not, maybe I can't sing or I can't do this, but if I can produce something that can, um,
I would need to see you though. Like, okay, so just real talk.
mhm,
And I've said this before. I don't trust a lot of musicians in the Christian or gospel music space, like the CCM or the gospel
mhm.
music, which by the way, we got a wonderful email from a sister who was saying, I don't think CCM has escaped, the pollution that is the world infiltrating.
CCM is dead as well.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't disagree with her
Yeah.
at all. So thank you so much for that. Um, but I would need because I don't trust a lot of these artists. I really don't. And our kids probably look at us as like being overly skeptical.
Yeah.
But I don't trust a lot of these artists. And when I say that, what I mean is I don't trust their character.
Mm.
I don't trust that they really are living out and believe what they're singing. I feel like a lot of them, based on the glimpse that you get behind the scenes, because the advent of social media has allowed for us to see way more about people than we once could see. I feel like a lot of these people are good singers and they have an affinity for God, like they like him a lot. And
Mm.
and I feel like that's what we get from them, right? And we're entertained very easily, so we accept it.
Mhm.
So that's my first thing.
Mhm.
Well, we're here. We made it. It's fall and you need to have already been on your supplements.
Ooh.
Listen, we have a 5-year-old. That
Yes.
little runny nose wants to get us.
Oh, man.
Okay. But the best way to make ourselves impervious to the snot fest that
Ugh.
is the winter, the fall, and the winter weather
Ugh.
is to be fortified with our supplements from We Heart Nutrition. All of their
Yes.
supplements are third party tested so you can know that the potency you expect is there. Look, don't be duped by these supplements that look good on your counter, but they don't do anything in your body.
Mhm.
You want the supplements that come from the company that is Christian owned and operated. So their standard is high because they're doing it as unto the Lord, right?
Mm.
Check them out today. That's weheartnutrition.com. When you use that promo code CultureProof, you will save 20%. You can get your women's multivitamin, your men's multivitamin. There's even a women's multivitamin for those who are 40 and over. Maybe you need prenatal supplements, or maybe you need some hormone balance.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. All of that and so much more is available at our friends We Heart Nutrition. And as always, we have to remind you that 10% of what goes into this company comes right back out to support crisis pregnancy care centers so you can do the most for your body and little bodies that you may never meet. And that is such a sweet deal. Check them out. That's weheartnutrition.com. Use that promo code CultureProof and save 20% off your order today. A person producing an artist that doesn't exist, but saying, I'm a Christian though, and this is coming from my heart,
Mhm.
you would have to work in tandem with the artist you've produced, the AI artist you've produced. And here's what I mean.
Mhm.
I would need somehow to be able to trust that and to be able to know, because it's like it would be like worship music catfishing. Do you understand? It's like you're presenting this artist who loves God. You don't love God? Like, okay, I'm sorry. But like it would be like presenting this artist who loves God and then
But it's
realizing that
not the AI artist, it's the person behind.
that's what I'm saying. That's why the person behind it would have to be equally visible.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I would have to know if Will the Great is producing art
Mhm.
under, some pseudonym or something or whatever, I don't know, drop the mic, but MIKE. And it's like, that's, whatever. I would still need to know who Will the Great is.
Mhm.
I don't feel comfortable listening to music because whenever you introduce me to music, and you're
Mhm.
usually the one who introduces us to like music coming from Christian artists, solid alternatives. That's always your thing. Like, okay,
Mhm.
you have people you can listen to. It doesn't have to be, all the cookie cutter stuff.
Right.
My first question is, who is that?
Mhm.
And I don't just mean the person's name. And you know that because when I say, who is that? You give me a little background on the person. This
Mhm.
person is so-and-so. He's from here. He's been doing this for a while, kind of been behind the scenes, started out with this
Mhm.
person. Like you have all this information on these people. And I feel like we would need that for the artists behind these AI artists.
Yeah.
And I'd need to see them,
Yeah.
you
No, I think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah, I don't think the person can be, I guess would be incognito, just kind of have this artist out there, but you don't know who behind, because how would you be able to trust what kind of spirit is coming, but man, this is a very interesting topic to me because I feel like for people who do this, it has to feel like man, like they're kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know people work hard to be, in certain industries and things
Mhm.
like that. And it's not just music, but this is going to be something that's on the increase.
Yeah.
It's not backing away. So how do we as Christians begin to navigate this and understand what's happening? How should we view what's going on? Because technology, we've been faced with technology since, I don't know when, like something always is coming, about something new. But we always have to ask the question, how do we as believers engage in these things that in a way that will please the Lord?
I think the only way that we can properly answer that question is one, to have a biblical worldview.
Mhm.
And that's going to sound like a broken record, but I just think it's true. I
That's
think
true.
the questions that we have to ask first and foremost as Christian musicians, what's the purpose of the gift God has entrusted to us, right? So everything that we've been entrusted with is given to us for the glory of God. Worshipers, I think, have a unique gift that has been entrusted to them.
Yes.
I really do. And I think if we start to compromise that just for talent,
Mhm.
which is what I think the problem would be with AI generated artists, it would be just the presentation of a talent.
Mm.
If you don't know who the artist is behind the scenes, I don't know. I think there's something about that dehumanizes the art form,
Mm.
that dehumanizes that particular gift. I think worshipers in the kingdom of God have a unique position,
Yeah.
a unique ability, a unique call for those who are called to utilize their gift in that way. And I think just generating an artist who you say, well, it's so easy. I did it through a computer. I don't know. I feel like there might be something, at least to have a conversation about, like we're having.
Yeah.
The artist behind the Christian music phenom. Can you, I mean,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, is a man by the name of Christopher Jermaine Townsend. He's the artist
Yeah.
behind the artist, who
The
is Solomon
creator
Ray.
of the AI artist.
And so he defended himself, you know, in light of what Forrest Frank said
Mhm.
on his Instagram account, and he called his work an extension of his creativity.
Mm.
He said that it's really more of a preference. I'm quoting him here. He said, you cannot tell somebody's feelings and impact from music if it's authentic or fake or fraudulent. He said, who am I to say what God will or won't use to get the message his people need to them? And so basically, he then kind of summarizes that with feeling like Forrest Frank is being a gatekeeper, like he's trying to maybe keep him out of a space.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I don't know Forrest Frank, but from what I have seen of him, I wouldn't call him that.
Mm,
I feel like he's a genuine Christian. I
Yeah.
don't think he's trying to keep people out. I think he
Yeah.
genuinely has some concerns and some principled ways that he feel about what's going on.
mhm.
But I can understand how Christopher Townsend may feel like, man, I'm a believer. Like, don't try to, X me out of these spaces because I can understand that. But man, I think this is something that we're going to have to wrestle with and understand how to navigate once again, because this is going to happen more and more. Like,
Mhm.
he's the first one that's hitting these charts like this and stuff like that, but he's not going to be the last.
No.
And best believe there's going to be some other artists that's like, man, I'm gonna create me to all the weaknesses I have. This artist is going to be the one that, it's weird to think about, but
Well, you're right. I mean, he's not the only one. There's another artist,
Uh-huh.
AI artist, who is called Zanaya Monet. Zanaya Monet
Mhm.
is an R&B AI artist who's also number 3 on the Hot Gospel Songs chart
Mm.
with the single Let Go, Let God. Okay. According to this article, this is from the Griot, Monet has seen similar backlash to what Townsend is experiencing in recent weeks from the likes of Victoria Monet, Kalani, SZA, like all of these people. I guess
Mhm.
they feel like she's going into her space or into their space. But the woman who created Zanaya Monet
Mhm.
is a woman named Talisha Jones, and she is also from Mississippi. So both of these AI
So that tells me
chart-topping art. There's something
I
in the
need to get
water
with the
here.
program. Oh,
There's something in the okay. Listen,
I mean, I'm
guys,
not
I'll
from
let you know.
Mississippi,
I'll
but
let you know.
where I live currently,
If he puts anything out and it starts
y'all go get it.
topping the
Go
charts,
get it. Go download it.
I would say, you
gotta get
guys,
with the times.
that is Will the Great. Listen to me, okay?
Oh,
But this,
I never was a rapper, but hey,
well, in today's,
I can be whatever I want. Ooh, that's bad.
no, you okay? Oh, boy, let's go back to episode 1. Let's go back to episode 1. No, I want to show this
Yeah.
though, because she recently sat down, the woman behind Zanaya Monet, who's in the gospel charts, but also moving into like the secular kind of R&B field charts.
That's what real
This
humans
is crazy.
do. That's what real humans do.
AI is so scary.
Real artists.
They cross over.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
AI is like, I've studied
Start
everything.
off in gospel,
I have
but then
studied
I'm going
everything.
in.
Very
Okay,
interesting.
all right.
She recently sat down with Gayle King to talk about, what she's doing and whether or not she's a fraud. It's a long interview. We have about, 40 something seconds of it.
Mhm.
But again, people are loving her music.
Yeah.
Millions of listeners. She's recently signed to a multi-million-dollar contract
That's crazy. That's crazy.
with a recording company
And she learned how to do this like 4 months
4
ago.
months ago. Okay, here,
Bruh.
let me play the clip and then we can come out and talk about. But these are the kinds of conversations that I feel like we have to have.
Yeah.
and I think there's a slight difference in talking about Zanaya Monet
right.
and talking about Solomon Ray.
Right.
Okay, like anyway, but
Yeah.
here we go.
Forward to meeting you because a lot of people are saying, who is this girl? Who is she? Because for so many people, they think she's not real. She doesn't exist. Why did you want to come and reveal yourself in this way?
I wanted to reveal myself because I wanted people to know there was a real person behind Zanaya, that there's real emotion and soul put into those lyrics.
Jones, who also goes by the name Nikki, isn't a singer.
This is Zanaya.
Zanaya Monet began as an avatar she created while teaching herself AI just 4 months ago.
So she writes the music
Mm-hmm.
and then puts it into a music app,
Yeah.
Stuno,
Mm-hmm.
and then generates the songs.
So she's a songwriter, but she's not a singer. And historically, what you would have is just people who write songs and singers sing the songs. Or you may have like a Kirk Franklin, which he tried to sing the song, but
Okay,
he
no,
shouldn't.
that's different.
But he write the songs, and then he have the family and God's property and all these people sing the songs.
Yeah.
But now, in this age, you can be the songwriter. You
I
can
don't
create
know.
your own artist to sing your song.
It does feel
That's amazing.
It does feel, I don't know, something feels wrong about it.
Does it feel
Something-
like God complexy?
Something feels dehumanizing about it.
Mm.
And that's my biggest issue with AI, that it will reduce our humanity in ways that we don't recognize immediately,
Mhm.
but then it'll be too late. And again, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, they're coming to get us, but
Yeah.
I there's something about the Imago Dei in us, that we are made in the image of God. There's something about the way that worship reflects that, and our
Mhm.
ability to, like, God has ordained worship, he's
Yeah.
ordained praise, and he's given us these voices. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it is a gift from him. So it feels a little bit like a circumvent, like to say,
Mm.
well, if God didn't give me that gift, I can do whatever I want. Like I don't have to have that gift.
Is that the way we should be looking at it?
Well, your question says no.
No,
But go
no.
ahead. I
I'm just
mean,
asking
that's how I
just
see it.
because this is a conversation. I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
like, should we look at it as if God didn't give me that gift? Well, then when there's now a way that you can do that, is AI ungodly? Like to use it in the way that it's being used.
It can be used in ungodly ways. I think the
agree.
way it the way it reprograms us can absolutely be ungodly.
Mhm.
But there's something about what you just said that sounds very like God didn't give this to me, but because now I can have it, I should have it. We have a lot of cultural conversations that we've been having lately about this.
Well, yeah, but
So where's the end of that?
and that's one of my questions as well. Where does this end? Like,
Well, Forrest Frank says with him, like it stops right here. He says,
no,
I'm not going
not
to be
really,
listening.
'cause
He says, I'm not going to be listening. I'm not going to,
but it's still going to go on. So, like, but where does this end? The creating of things that we don't need people for anymore. We can use AI.
I think, okay, so let me say this. And I think there are two different categories,
Mhm.
really, because I think the world is not going to bring to this conversation the same convictions that the Christians will bring.
Mm.
And I think in the category of worship,
Yeah.
we need to know who's quote unquote leading us in worship.
Amen.
It can't just be someone with, tech savvy,
Mhm.
creative ideas. It can't just be that. That's not worship. And I think the questions about who ordained worship, it's God.
Mhm.
What does worship say about us and our humanity and our being made in the image of God? What does worship say even about God and his worthiness, that they're sincere and
Yeah.
genuine worship? That and again, I'm not saying that the person that's generating this, if they're a believer,
Well,
that can't be sincere.
I think the leading of worship should be primarily done in the local assembly anyway.
That's true.
Like the music that we're listening to, a lot of that stuff, even though it's worship, it's entertainment. It's like we know that from the interview that
Yeah.
the Maverick City dude had.
That's
like,
true.
So
But I will say that in the midst of all of that, there have been quite a few people where they have encountered the Lord, where there's been a conviction that they have encountered that's been life-changing for them.
Well,
And
from
so-
these comments I've read on this Solomon Ray,
I saw those comments.
Man, they were like, "Oh man, this song really
Yeah.
touched me inside." Like I'm like, so I mean,
So I put this to the test when you sent me this information. I was in the car with our two teens who remain at home, and so they were like, "Well, can we listen? Like, we've got to kind of want to hear," and they were kind of like, "Oh, it's kind of good." Like, oh, they're like, "Whoa, what's the deal?" And so that's a little bit scary to me because I just don't want us to lose our humanity and all the technological advances that we
Yeah,
have. Like,
yeah.
I don't want us to become. I don't know. I look. I see. I hate when people say this, but I'm about to say something that I hate when people say, I see both sides of this, but I do. I really, I feel like pick a plot line, you know. I hope you're thinking about your summer vacation 2026. We want to invite you and all of your family to join us for the Culture Proof Conference 2026. It's happening at the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. 3 days, 10 speakers, incredible content for children ages 4 to 18 and
Yes.
adults ages, well, you know how old you are.
It's gonna
We're not
be
going
a-
to talk about it.
It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. It's like a family reunion. The field there is so awesome. You know, like-minded individuals. We have some great speakers. We have Dr. Renton Rathman. We have Dr. Kathy Cook. We have Amy Warren.
Yes.
We have Ken Ham. We have Brian Osborne, Miki Addison, Abraham Hamilton III, and so many more.
Yes, you don't want to miss this. Living epistles is our theme in
Yes.
2026, where we get really practical about what it means to live as a believer. You can be surrounded by people, and sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, am I doing too much, you know? But what we're going to do is align our thinking with the Word of God, with speakers who are going to challenge and encourage you. We've got breakout sessions for kids 4 to 12 and kids 13 to 17, and then also breakout sessions for women and men, where we are going to specifically address issues that are challenging us as we desire to live for God's glory. You don't want to miss it. You can learn all you need to know by going to cultureproof.net. That is cultureproof.net. But I do see Forrest Frank's
Yeah.
concern,
Yeah.
but knowing someone who mentored and discipled the person who made the gospel album, which I guess we probably should disclose that, right? You would say, well, I mean, based on knowing this brother, I know
mean,
that
I know that
brother would have
brother.
been poured into this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not to say that he remained, but I'm just
exactly.
saying there would be
Right.
some background that you would have and say,
Right.
hey. So I don't think it would be fair to say the music just came from an unholy place.
Right.
You know, the person who produced the music was in the music genre as a conservative
Conservative rapper.
rapper.
Mhm.
And so then, kind of started to do something different. I don't know. My big thing is I don't want us to lose our humanity in all of this.
I agree.
Another Christian rapper, Derek Minor, had some comments about this, and so we pulled a clip of Derek Minor, who was once, I think he was on Reach Records label
Yeah, one time.
at one
Yeah.
time. He's responding to Forrest Frank, and I want to play this because I feel like our audience should probably just like maybe hear both sides of it
Yeah.
and then decide. But here's Derek Minor sort of responding respectfully, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
It wasn't disrespectful. I mean, yeah.
but
You
just
hear it.
disagreeing.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
can disagree agreeably. But this is his response to Forrest Frank.
Around the AI artist that's topping the charts. And I saw Forrest Frank say that AI don't have the Holy Spirit, yada, 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 yada. But here's the problem with that perspective. There's a lot of Christian songs that people love today that had people that weren't Christians write the songs, that helped with the songs, or that weren't Christians that played guitar on the songs, or bass or drums that, on the songs. So also hip hop, like that splice loop. What if an atheist made that splice loop that you took and put drums on and made your Christian song too? But what if the person that's using the AI is a Christian? They love God and they just use the tools to their advantage. Maybe they're not a talented artist, maybe they're not a talented writer, but they have taste and they wanted to worship.
Okay, your
No,
thoughts.
It's a valid question, but I think this is a picture also of kind of what I've seen over the years of there's like, especially in the music genre, and I follow Christian rap pretty closely for years. You have this camp that's kind of like the Derek Miners. They're like, hey man, we just don't, it's art, and we just kind of. And then you have like the Forrest Frank side that's
Mhm.
like, man, no, this art means something. Like the spirit of the artist follows this art, so it's
Mhm.
not just music. You have that, and I think that's a clear. I think we get a picture of that with what Forrest Frank was saying and what Derek Miner is saying. It's one right and one wrong. I would fall more on the Forrest Frank side, I would have to say. But I do understand the question about, so how do you navigate? That's what we've been talking about. How do you navigate it if the person that's using this is a Christian?
Mhm.
And he brought out like even some of the music that's being produced in Christian rap and stuff like that, and maybe just the music, while all the musicians Christian, for me, I would want all my musicians to be Christian. You know,
100%.
now there is the sampling issue when they take samples from different
Yeah.
songs. I've always said, why not sample Christian
Yeah.
songs?
Yeah.
But
Shout
hey,
out to KB who does that.
yeah, KB does that.
Yeah.
My great friend Gabriel Parker would do that
Shout out
all
to
the
Gabe.
time.
Yeah.
But so there's those different nuances to the discussion. But I feel like he was respectful, but it's a valid conversational piece.
Yeah. This is interesting to me because I do feel like um the decline, if we have experienced a decline in what we expect in worship music, that is not to be blamed on AI. It is to be blamed on the cold hearts of the people. And I
Yeah.
think for a long time, this is what I was going to say before we started recording this. I don't think that if AI overtakes human artists
Mhm.
in this space, it will not be just because of the technology. It will be because people have already been conditioned, as you said earlier, to be entertained in music. And so if the music can entertain me, I don't care about the source of the music.
Mm.
And I think that would be the bigger problem. I need to pray through what my final thoughts are on
Mhm.
an artist who is Christian
Mhm.
producing music with the use of this technology. Because I think the biggest question is what's the heart behind it? Worship is unto the Lord. It is
Mhm.
unto the Lord. So it's almost like a strange fire type thing when you've got people just like, well, I'm a good singer.
Mhm.
But we don't even recognize that anymore. We just receive
Mhm.
it. We like it, because it entertains us. It makes us feel goosebumps.
Mm.
Um,
And then you would have some people who, and I know some Christians will feel this way, that would cut to the chase and say AI is demonic. So don't be using that. You're gonna have that as well. So it's, man, it's one of those things, and I think Christians has had to navigate things like this, you know, for a long time.
there
And
would be so much that you would have to cut out. There would be so
that's
much that
true.
you would have to cut out that is the use of artificial intelligence.
It's true. It's everywhere.
I think probably some of the most egregious forms we could see and maybe cut out immediately, but I think there are other things that you would have to cut out. I think this is an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
And let me just also say that Solomon Ray also has a Christmas project out. And so it's pretty amazing. Some people are shocked when they learn that it's artificial intelligence. Other people are just like, but it's good though. So, and that's the same thing even on the secular side with this woman, Zanaya Monet. I don't know. Here's the thing.
Mhm.
For me, personally,
Mhm.
I don't I man, I don't want this to get me in trouble with people who are genuine. Um, I want the person to really sing. I I am encouraged and blessed when real people, flesh and blood people,
Mhm.
have been entrusted with a real gift that they then use for the glory of God, and all of it sort of like syncs up. It's
Yeah.
all like look, why did we have a problem with Milli Vanilli? Can I just say, like, why did we have a problem with Milli Vanilli?
Because they faked it.
Right. It wasn't because they couldn't dance and perform, because they could do that.
Right.
They could do that. Milli Vanilli could dance and perform.
People
But
like,
when
"Ooh,
that
Milli
track didn't
Vanilli."
hit and sync up at the right, and they were like, whoa, wait, what are they like? They're not, the brothers aren't even singing. Like we were at the place where we were like, no. And I think we were in a different time because we wanted what was real. And I think what Forrest Frank is getting at, and I agree with him, man, we need to desire what is real and what is pure, and understand the heart behind what people are producing.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone has the consistent presentations to be able to make that case, it would be a Forrest Frank.
Mhm.
And to see him consistently take a position that is like, the expected position by people who love Jesus and expect to see him, continue to love Jesus publicly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to talk to the brother behind Solomon Ray.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to him. And I do have some questions. I don't think it would be a thing where you just ridicule, but just ask, is it, does it ever create a conflict of conscience? So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can have him on the podcast if we can. It'd be great. Anyway, I don't know. It's a cultural trend though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cultural trend. I don't think
is it rivaling the truth?
Only if the person who's producing the art does not know the truth and is a fake and a fraud. Then I think there's no question. There's no debate. There's no, I see both sides. I think, but here's the problem. There's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to know. And people won't even expect to know. They'll just, well, I think they have to know now because they're pushing on it. And so the actual artist, Townsend, is coming out and saying, here's who I am. Like, I am a Christian.
No, you're right. But I'm just gauging some of the comments I saw on the song. Man, a whole bunch of people didn't know that this was
that's true.
AI generated,
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, if I was just listening to the song, I wouldn't have known either. I would have been like, okay, that's it. Man, this is crazy. Okay.
So I know we're coming. No, I agree with you. Let me just say this, because when you said I wouldn't have known, it sparked a memory here recently where our kids, we do a lot of waiting together, the kids. Okay. And so there's a lot of conversation that happens. And our son, JD, who's 15, said to me, I was cooked because I couldn't spot AI. And I was like, no, I can spot AI. And he's like, Mom, did you know that video you were just watching was AI? Like, we're sitting and it was like one of those commercials that pop up, And I said, that's not AI. And Gabby goes, Mom, it's totally AI. That's not real. I was like, it's two people doing an interview. And they're like, no, both of them are AI generated. So
Lord,
I said, Mom, and then they go, you really didn't know that? They thought I was joking. And I was tempted, man. I'm not gonna even, I was tempted to be like, oh, gotcha, of course. But I was like, no, I really didn't. And so JD said to me, he goes, Mom, you're cooked. And I,
man.
And I thought, I'm 46 and I was like, man, I have hit that status where you're like checking on the old people, make sure they don't send money to help the Nigerian princess. Check in on your people. So now we're here. Boy. The technology is outpacing our ability to discern. And I have to say, man, if I'm cooked, I'm gonna stay close to my young people because I don't want to be cooked. You know what I mean?
Me neither.
Anyway, I don't know if it's rivaling the truth.
Yeah.
But if it has the potential to do so, we have to be watchful and we have to reject it.
Right.
So it's going to come down to who's producing the art, and we're going to have to demand to know or not put them in that space. And that's by the rotations. That's listening to it. Like even now, us talking about this, it's like it creates that kind of curiosity,
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, that's it. I mean, I don't know, Forrest Frank versus AI. Is this 1 point? Is this 1 point Forrest or like? I don't know. Is it a tie? No, I don't know. It's crazy because the person producing AI. Last thing I'm gonna say, the person producing AI is a real brother. And I want to say, man, I got to go with the real brother. But it's like, but there is a real brother behind the AI.
Oh man,
I don't feel like this podcast was helpful. When we resist the cultural trends that rival the truth. In this conversation, what was that? What was the? I don't know. We remain culture proof. I want to remain culture proof. Okay. I don't want to just accept everything that's coming at us in the culture. I want to hold it up against scripture.
Yeah.
And I think some of that might involve doing a deep dive in what worship actually is. Worship is God's idea. Like worship is ordained by God. So anything that would depart from that or undermine that, I think we have to we have to reject on its face. But then when it's subtle, we pray for discernment to know, okay, where's our pull line?
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Until next time, Lord willing.
Bless.
Hey, if you like this video and value the content, then go ahead and like the video. You can subscribe to our channel if you want to do that as well. Feel free to comment. We try to read all of your comments and we try to respond to most of them. Of course, if there are too many, then it's hard for us to get to them. But we value interacting with you. So thank you so much for being a part of the Culture Proof community.
Also, click that notification bell. That bell will let you know when a new episode drops.